many hearts have you broken with those great big beautiful eyes? Those great big beautiful eyes that tell such beautiful lies.
How many times have you kissed somebody like you kissed me then? I don't.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all ships at sea. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message from the Prepared Mind Network.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. Voter fraud.
He's absolutely right, and that's exactly what is going on with the deportation of illegal, criminal, invading aliens in the United States of America. Is they brought in 20 and who knows how many more millions of illegals that they've registered to vote, so Democrats have a voter base that is 100% and always will be loyal to them as their subjects and their welfare beneficiaries. Welcome to the Prepared Mind channel. Today is going to get very rough. My frustration level with the inactivity by the Justice Department, the Attorney General's office, the FBI, and the entire government structure is just, it's maddening. How Trump can talk like he knows what's going on and how to fix it, yet does nothing. How the criminality in politics at the highest levels continues, yet nothing is done. You and me, all of us, see it every fucking day. And we know that if we were in charge, if we had authority, we, without knowing all the code books, all of the federal regulations of this, and the CFR of that, and the U.S. code, and this code and that code, you don't need that to see the criminality. You could just go arrest the bad guys, take them to jail, arraign them, get them ready for trial, and put them in fucking jail forever if the jury finds them guilty of the obvious crimes they've been committing. Yet we're not getting any of that. That said, let's get into what I have in mind. Uman's not here. He's in the road, by the way, trying to make his way back to the the permanent command center in Illinois. But you've got traffic, snow, ice, power outages, and whatever else is plaguing the man. So, Uman, get back safe and sound, brother. Now, with respect to what's going on in the country and SHTF on this Monday Mayhem broadcast, I'm going to get into it. Last night's scotch and bourbon-induced good time on the zoo didn't hurt me too bad, but just speaking for extended periods of times hurts the rib injury. So I'm going to do my best to stay calm and minimize energy usage, but the message is going to be difficult and painful, and you'll understand why. And as a precursor, I am not calling for violence, vigilante justice. I am not calling for anyone to do anything illegal, harmful, or dangerous. I'm calling for everyone to think about what they would do in these situations and think about what you would like to see done in these situations. So today, the press secretary, her name is Caroline Leavitt. She discussed at her news briefing what appears to be the Minnesota insurrection. Now, insurrection, this is a mainstream media source calling it that. Is this finally an insurrection in the legal sense? I think it is. I think they've met the minimum threshold for an insurrection. There is an attempt by civilian and local and state government forces and players and agents to rise up and offer physical and in some cases deadly resistance to federal law enforcement acting within the scope of their authority under the Constitution and statutory law. It's being done intentionally, willfully, and with the intent to give aid and comfort to illegal aliens and potential terrorists in this country. How is that not a fucking insurrection? I think I've made my case. How many people need to attack and assault federal agents at the behest and at the encouragement of Governor Walz, Mayor Frey, and all the Democrats in Washington, D.C., and all the Democrats and all the rhinos throughout the country, and all the mainstream media participating. At what point, I ask, is the governor and even municipal government officials, at what point are they arrested? At what point in this insurrection will the police be removed for failure to fulfill their duty under their sworn oaths to protect and serve the people? The people doesn't mean the illegal people. The people doesn't mean protect and serve Tim Walz or the mayor. The people means the collective people and the laws under which they reside. At what point is the governor and these officials and police arrested? Why isn't the sheriff being installed over municipalities? Because the police have failed to uphold the law. The police have failed to keep law and order in the streets. Whether the sheriff is there under martial law conditions or not doesn't matter. What is indicated as being. What needs to happen is the police need to be divested of the authority that was vested in them, that they swore to uphold. And instead they are serving an insurrectionist mayor and governor. Period. When will order be restored? Sedition and insurrection charges need to be promptly handled and applied to the bad actors in government, starting with the mayor, going to the governor, removing the chief of police, suspending all police, all city, all corporate law enforcement, the police, done. They can do that. And the sheriff is the sheriff for the county, and his authority exists inside the county and inside those incorporated city areas. He is the highest law enforcement of the state in his county, and he can assist federal law enforcement if needed. We've got a problem, folks. These people need to be arrested and promptly sent to jail, arraigned, perp walked publicly, and the president of the United States needs to address the nation and explain what insurrection is and what sedition is, and explain how they are felony crimes against the people of the state, how they're felony crimes against the state by violating state law and also federal laws. It's not that difficult. If I can do it, a regular man can just look at what's going on, have a cursory understanding of the law, of general fucking civics, and see what's going on and know what needs to be done to restore it. Why can't the president? Why can't the attorney general? Why can't the federal Department of Justice do something? The only answer I can come to is that they are also allowing it. You see, when you're in authority, you have two options in any given circumstance. You can fix the problem or you can allow the problem to persist. If it falls under your authority and there's a problem, you fix it because that's your fucking job. And they're not doing it. They're not doing it. And here's a consequence. Here's a consequence. A pile of shit, left-wing thug, criminal, stabs not only a human man, but also his dog. What was the grounds for this offense? Was this guy protecting himself? No. He discovered that the man is a Christian. Now, interestingly, and in an interesting development, the suspect who stabbed the man and his fucking dog approached the police with knives. Well, they gunned him down. Yeah, because the police don't want to get stabbed, but they want to allow others to get stabbed, others to get shot, others to bring weapons, right? Obvious fruitcake, violent suspects. Because once you're a protester that starts acting violently, you now become, well, you should be suspected of being a criminal because you're acting violently. If I go out on the street and I start acting erratically and threatening people, the police will arrive and treat me as if I'm a violent suspect. They'll talk to me and determine if I'm a violent suspect. They'll ask witnesses for information, for their opinions, yada, 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 to help determine if I'm a violent suspect. All of these people out here who are protesting should be treated accordingly because they're not nonviolent. They're not mostly peaceful. They're turning into violent protests. Every act of violence right now occurring in Minnesota is the direct result of Democrats, a direct result of the governor, of the mayor, and the mainstream media news promoting what they're doing, encouraging it, and allowing it. They have promoted disobedience to the level of responding to the presence of ICE with violence, making obscene threats, and assaulting civilians violently. It has to stop before the public gets involved. And I'm saying that this is probably going to happen at some point, but it won't be reported this way. But the public is getting involved as a peace-seeking militia. Now, a sheriff can deputize members of the general public to assist in law enforcement activity. But if the sheriff won't stand up and the police don't do their fucking job, individuals will have to protect themselves, their families, their property, their neighborhood, their community, and others around them. And that is what a militia does when it comes to dealing with people who are violating states' rules and federal rules and acting violently. Now you see where a militia becomes useful because government has failed, government is absent, and only the people can protect themselves. In other words, just like in 2020, you're on your own, as the police so often said and warned people about Antifa, BLM. Do you think the people out there on the streets are a different crowd? They just add more initials and more special names to them. Now they're the Black Panthers, and now they're the LGBTQIAP people, the pedophiles. Well, now they're pro-Hamas and pro-Palestinian, and they're out there. It's the same people. And what's making this absolutely horrifying is somebody has, well, they didn't hack their way in, but they became part of the Signal messaging system. They've been included in a list of all these people in Signal group texts. Signal is just another text message app. It goes through the internet versus your phone line. Turns out that the top dog in this whole thing, not only the violent gun-toting idiots, the people that are calling for violence, literal murder, but also all the way up to the office of the governor has people in this Signal string doing what? Offering advice, giving orders. It has to stop, or we're going to end up with purge type activity. We're going to end up with partisan conflict. This isn't civil war. No one's trying to take over the power of the state, but the state has abrogated its authority. It has abandoned ship. Is it abandoned its office, its duties? It is derelict. What do you guys think? What do you think? In the comment section, go in with all caps. Oh, well, here we go. Heidi brings in this bit of news with respect to what's going on. She writes, the National Guard are out serving coffee and donuts to the protesters. Let me expand upon your comment, Heidi, and thank you very much. The mayor has called in the Minnesota National Guard. Yes, they are serving donuts and coffee. They're assisting the protesters, the violent insurrectionist protesters. The National Guard is being their bitch. On top of that, the National Guard is being told to wear particular types of clothing to identify themselves so the protesters don't think they're ICE. In other words, the protesters are so fucking stupid. Anyone who has the appearance of a government official or law enforcement, they should just attack right away. But to protect the National Guard donut servers, they're making sure everyone knows, hey, these guys are our bitches. And I want to remind everyone that National Guard typically is comprised a majority appraisal of law enforcement, meaning police, sheriff, deputies, etc. They should fucking know better. Showing up to give these fucking vagrants food and comfort. The governor who is abrogated, who has abandoned ship. He has abandoned his post. The governor who's abandoned his post is ordering the Minnesota National Guard to serve lawbreakers. How much more ridiculous can this get? Well, it can get more ridiculous, trust me. And I will continue. Anyways, thank you, Heidi. That was a great thing to bring up. I appreciate it very, very much. It was not let's see. Diving Frog says, Heidi, that's a joke, right? The answer is no. No. No, no, and no. Let's continue. If you've got something to say in the comments, please put it in all caps. All caps. So I can dig it out and I'll put them up on the screen. It just helps me find it with all the other conversation going on. The state of Arizona, in my estimation, is going to be next. It's going to be the next insurrectionist Minnesota. Why? How am I coming up with this? How do I know? Because the Policemen's Association is criticizing the Attorney General of the state of Arizona, named Chris Mays. She's encouraging leftists to shoot and kill immigrations and customs enforcement agents. So the Policemen's Association says it's, quote, reckless, irresponsible, and dangerous to the safety of all law enforcement professionals in this state. Yes, it is. It is inciting violence. It is calling on protesters to shoot an act of violence and kill, murder. The act of violence leading to murder is being recommended by the Attorney General of the state of Arizona. Where is Pam Bondi? Where is she buying? Is she buying anal toys from some butt plug specialist who runs around pretending like he speaks for nations? He knows who I'm talking about. What the fuck is she doing? Where's Kash Patel? What's he doing? Chasing his girlfriend some more? What the fuck is going on in this country? Unless insurrection charges are made and filed and arrests of responsible government officials for participating in this encouragement and incitement of lawlessness, this won't stop. It is only going to increase in both intensity and levels of violence. Arizona is going to be next. Oregon, Portland, SeaTac up in Washington, LA. Once this gets out of hand, folks, I know right now the country's frozen over, a lot of it. Well, Arizona's, except up in the mountains, yeah. Phoenix is pretty damn close to hell, so it's going to stay warm enough. But it's going to get this violent. I don't want it. It's coming, whether you like it or not, whether we like it or not. The only thing you and I can do is be prepared for it. Please have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Have it together, folks. This is going to get nasty. It is only January 26, 2026. We are in the dead of winter. 1 month into winter. In a few months, it's going to be spring, and these fucking clowns are going to be lined up. Politicians, if nothing is done a strongly worded letter. Fuck you, Pam Bondi. Go arrest the cocksucker. Tim Waltz. Go get this bitch in Arizona and fucking arrest them. If you don't have charges, hold them for 71.5 hours and let them go. Fucking arrest them. If they don't, you and I are going to have to deal with a summer that is going to make 2020 look like child's play. Will you let them get into your town? This is a question we asked in 2020 in my small town in extreme Northern California. When these fuckers show up in their buses, when they start their picket marks, if they even try and stop traffic, what are you going to do was the question I asked myself and other patriots. And at that time, it was you fucking get them out of the street. If they don't, you drag them out of the street. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm talking about what we said back in 2020. You do not let them start committing acts of vandalism and violence against businesses or homes or private vehicles. You do not let them harangue citizens. They are to be polite and share the fucking sidewalks. And that's what happened. And they were followed by a caravan of patriots up and down every street they wanted to walk on with the intent of assisting law enforcement in stopping criminal actions should they begin. That's what my town did in California. Now I'm in Florida. You get in the way in traffic, try stopping it, and people feel threatened, they'll run your fucking ass over. You start assaulting someone on the street, that is an intent to commit great bodily harm, injury, and even death. You'll get shot for it. I'm not going to play fucking games here. I'm going to uphold the law and obey the law. But the rest of this country, folks, it's getting fucking stupid because nobody will do anything to stop the problems. I'm telling you. Even, get this. It is, and I mentioned not only the governor and the mayor, but CNN, mainstream media. Get this, Jake Tapper. Everyone knows Jake Tapper, right? He is a fucking communist clown on parade. He had a guest on his television show, and he allowed him. Jake Tapper allowed his guest to go off the fucking rails and blatantly lie and say that immigrations and customs enforcement agents are on the verge of putting people in ovens. Putting people in ovens. Number one, what ovens? Are there mobile crematoriums? Has anyone seen that? What, are you going to take them to a fucking pizza oven and start cooking them there? What ovens? Are you going to go to mortuaries and just start delivering illegals and putting them in there while they're alive? It's fucking ridiculous. But who do you think believes that shit? Who do you think eats that up? Like it's gourmet cooking. Who? The left. The fucking left. The mainstream media has taken the story of the jackass nurse who brought a pistol. I don't care if he's got extra magazines. I don't care if he has a laser sight. I don't care if it's the coolest piece of shit gun. I don't give a fuck. He came to a protest with a gun. He came to a protest with a gun, not with ID. He came to a protest not carrying ID with his gun and decided he was going to intercede and interfere with police operations and then get into a scuffle with law enforcement, reach for his gun, discharge it while fighting with police. He gets shot and killed. The media claims in their thing, I just did kind of a play-by-play. They are writing up their play-by-play and completely eliminating facts and introducing bullshit, lies, and it just absolute horrifying untruths. Just like Jake Tapper is allowed some jackass fuckwad to say ICE agents are on the verge of putting people in ovens. This is going to incite the left to greater violence, which means you and I are going to be subjected to the risk and threat of greater violence. When all this is said and done, I'm going to continue to do my best to point to every fucking politician, every appointed bureaucrat, every appointed police chief, every elected sheriff that fails to do their job and say, you fucking allowed it and people died. It's not blood on your hands. I don't want to play these fucking games with blood on your hands. Fuck you. You violated the law. You violated your oath. That's a crime. Dereliction of fucking duty. Okay, let's see what we got here. Robin G. I don't know what does Robin G. say. She says, is Europe going to fall? They don't have a Trump president to help them. Can the USA hold them up and ourselves too? Your thoughts? Right now in Spain, Robin, let me tell you what's going on in Spain. Private citizens are rounding up illegals, asylum seekers, migrants, and throwing them out, taking them out of their hidey holes. They're now had it. Another girl, young girl, underage girl, was I think fucking raped and stabbed by one of these fucking Muslims. So the people go to their mosque trying to get the guy. The police show up to protect the mosque from the people wanting the criminal captured. The people in Europe, not just in Spain, are on the fucking verge. The mainstream media won't show you the protests by legitimate Spaniards and legitimate English men and women and legitimate French and German. They're marching to clean their countries up. You want to see a beautiful country? Look at Poland. They don't allow these fucking immigrants in. You've got white people everywhere enjoying themselves, dressed in nice clothes, walking down clean fucking streets, listening to European music and drinking European coffee and doing business. You go to, as soon as you go into any fucking nation, Italy, anywhere, and what do you see? Fucking trash everywhere. Literal trash everywhere, while these foreigners desecrate the country, attack churches, attack little girls, attack everyone, while the police, especially in Britain and now down in Australia, are arresting people for offensive tweets and denying Christians their, I guess in that country it's a privilege, denying their right, I'm going to call it a fucking right, to speak freely, to march, to protest, redress of grievances, complain. They have no right to complain. I love European people. I hate their fucking politicians. Ursula von der Leyen, who is the appointed head of the European Union, she's not elected. She said that Europe has the values of the Talmud. Europe has the values of the Talmud? The Talmud says that white people are like animals, cattle. They can be stolen, raped, killed, slaughtered, mistreated, tricked, lied to. It doesn't fucking matter. They're not as good or as high as the Israeli Jew. This is the leader of the European Union. What's she doing? She is forcing European nations. I don't know why they fucking listen to her. Poland hasn't. Poland hasn't. Nuh-uh. They say, we don't give a fuck what you say. Fine us every day. Fuck you. We don't care. Poland is sticking up for the Poles. And God bless them for that. Germany's fallen. Italy's fallen. Spain has fallen. Portugal's fallen. France has fallen. England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, they've fallen. Norway, Sweden, Finland, fallen. Denmark, fallen. People are having to fight for themselves. They're now coming out, waving flags, marching in force. It's going to come down to Europe falling, the people taking their country back from their government. Will the government come out with water cannons, rubber bullets, tear gas, and attack their own countrymen for daring to stand up to a government that has allowed an invading force of immoral fucking rapists, you know, the values of the Talmud, allowing them into your, because they share that. Muslims share a lot of that same thinking that's expounded upon in the Talmud. Lie to your enemy, subdue them, rape them, steal from them, lie to them, get them to trust you, and then screw them over. Same fucking values. That's why they've been beaten out of Europe time and time again. Folks, the Muslims have tried invading Europe since the 900s, I believe. 800s, 900s. They're stumped by Vlad the Impaler, stumped by fucking Charlemagne, and driven out. The Jews, not the Israelis, because they were just a people called the Jews, all that time, kicked out of, I think, 109 countries 1,000 times, literally, because of their values. And now Ursula von der Leyen is saying that European values are the Talmud. Europe is going to fall. Europe has fallen. It's up now to the people to defeat both their government and to get rid of the problem. You write they don't have Trump as president to help them. No, they don't. Trump has pointed out how fucked up they are. But I say, turn your head this way, dude. Look at Minnesota. Look at New York City. Look at the state of Illinois. Look at California, Oregon, Washington. Look at Colorado. Look at what's going on here. He's not doing a fucking thing here. He talks and then nothing happens. I hate to rag on Trump, but it's up to him. History will record you at that level of power. History will record you. If you're not a victor, you're a loser. Ask yourself this question. How will Obama be remembered if America is a republic? How will Biden be remembered if America remains a republic? How will Clinton and the Bushes be remembered if America remains as a republic? It'll look at those people as fucking traitors. Same with Woodrow Wilson. Same with FDR. Oh, you bet. Same with LBJ. You bet. You fucking bet they will. Can the USA hold them up and ourselves to? Your thoughts? No. The United States of America cannot help Europe. Oh, get this. Mark Rutte, head of NATO, spoke truth today. Facts. He said, hey, Europe, you can't do anything without the United States of America. Literally just shot down the entire idea of Europe being an independent military force without the United States of America. Without our money, without our weapons, without our support, without our satellite technology, nothing. Europe is fucking toast, but America is heading down the same fucking road. And you and I, we see it. You see it right now in the state of Florida, my fucking state, up in Tallahassee, up and over that way. Guess what? The Muslims are marching. They're being organized and paid for, showing up in buses by an organization that has been determined to be the enemy. It's rare. RAI or whatever the fuck it is. Something Islamic relations. They're trying to intimidate the government and force them to allow these fucking people to set up districts within our state to allow them to proliferate and introduce their Sharia law. That's what they're up to. They've said it. They've stated it time and time again. Time and time again. This is what's coming. It is a government clown show. Those are my thoughts, Robin. Thank you very, very much. What are we looking at here? Okay, Robin, you say, yes, Trump needs to do more, but imagine if he wasn't president by now. Yeah, we have the lesser of two nobodies. I wanted Trump to be the best. I supported Trump. I promoted Trump. Trump told us all the things we wanted to hear. Yet we do not have an attorney general that's doing her job. If Trump doesn't want to call martial law and instruct the National Guard to go arrest the governor and the fucking mayor and remove the police, if he doesn't want to do it himself, then fire Pam Bondi and get an attorney general with big giant balls of steel and get in there and get the fucking job done. Same with the FBI. Same with the Department of Homeland Security. I'm sick of this fucking tough talking little pretty bitch bullshit. Get the fuck out of the way and let the men fucking handle this. Because this is coming down to a situation of civil, it's not just civil insubordination. It is fucking civil insurrection being encouraged, promoted, protected, and incited by the motherfucking government. See what I'm saying? It's a clown show. Clown show. Oh, we need the National Guard to give snacks and coffee, hot chocolate and donuts to the anti-ICE mob. It's ridiculous. It is a clown show. But the consequences of lawlessness, is violence that affects everybody. This isn't an isolated incident in the hood where the Crips are shooting the Bloods and the Bloods are shooting the Crips. That's not what this is. This is an fucking invasion, and they're committing massive amounts of fraud, billions of dollars in fraud, and they're being shielded and protected and hidden by the government officials, the same ones, mayor, governor, the same ones who are telling people to fight ICE. They have armed themselves and are willing and prepared to commit acts of violence. It's beyond clown show. This is pure insurrection, in my opinion. And get this, judicial interference is now here as well. And it's beyond insurrection at this point. Now, a judge who happened to be appointed by Trump, right? I don't care who appoints these judges. They get into a position of power and they obey their puppet masters. Okay, so Trump appointed a judge. We would expect that judge to be conservative, pro-Constitution, don't you think? But what do we get? We get a judge who all of a sudden says, hey, DHS, you have a restraining order. You are not allowed to alter or destroy evidence having to do with that jackass that got shot and killed. Well, number one, it doesn't matter who appointed the judges, right? We now know that if they've visited Epstein Island or any of the other Epstein and pizza joints, we all know they're going to do what they're told once they get in a position of high power. And they're doing it. They're doing it. This guy comes out and says, you're not allowed. Look, DHS and all law enforcement are already prohibited from destroying or altering any evidence. The problem is no one's enforcing that. Otherwise, January Crips and Bloods. And, right. That's what I get for reading real quick. We have the January 6th committee. They suborned perjury. They coached witnesses. They altered evidence. They destroyed evidence. They manufactured evidence. In other words, they edited clips of Trump together to make it sound like he was calling for the riot at the Capitol building. Unfucking believable. But this judge wants to look at the DHS. Sure, have a hearing. Collect all the evidence. Isn't that what the district attorney should do there? Isn't that what the attorney general should do in the state of Minnesota? Isn't that what a federal judge should do, is collect the evidence instead of slapping a restraining order on there as if the DHS was going to destroy evidence? The last thing they want is to be accused of something for which they don't have evidence to exonerate themselves with. It's fucking ridiculous, but it makes news headlines. It pisses off the left wing. Yeah, you tell them, man. Tell them not to destroy that evidence. The evidence shows what it shows. I guess you have to believe what you want to believe, right? But it's just more evidence. It's more evidence that we are in the middle of an insurrection. Okay, this comes from this came from this comes from Bonnie Blue 2A, who checked in. Bonnie Blue, thank you very much. It has to do with this just popped in, and I want to cover it because it's part of everything. Warrant officer, Special Forces warrant officer, former, has posted his opinion about what is happening in Minnesota, and it's a must read. It's to be found in the website Twitchy. And I want to just read this to you. Let me give credit to who the author is also. Sam J. is the person who wrote this, January 26th, today. Full disclosure, even we are somewhat surprised by the insanity we've been covering in Minneapolis. I don't know if twitchy is right-wing, left-wing, neutral, comedy, I don't know. Special Forces Warrant Officer, former Eric Schwalm, shared what they feel is a must-read. This is what he tweeted. As a former Special Forces Warrant Officer with multiple rotations running counterinsurgency ops, both hunting insurgents and trying to separate them from sympathetic populations, I've seen organized resistance up close. From Anbar to Helmand, the pattern is familiar. The pattern is familiar. I'm going to Twitter now to read the rest of what he has to say there. I don't really give a shit what Twitch says. I want to hear what this warrant officer says. I dealt with warrant officers as a Marine. They're not bad guys. They're guys that run from, if you don't know what a warrant officer is, it has nothing to do with a search warrant. What it has to do with is going from enlisted on over to the officer side. You can rise to the officer's rank, warrant officer 1 through 4, and then you can go up to the rank of captain and retire from there if you stay in your full term. Anyways, it's looking kind of crazy. I'm going to do this. I'm not getting quick results with that item. Stand by. I've got backup. I'm going to tell you what this warrant officer says, because what he is reporting is exactly what we're seeing in Minnesota. That's exactly what's going on. Then I'll get to some of your questions and thoughts. He says, I've seen organized resistance up close. From Anbar to Helmand, the pattern is familiar. Spotters, cutouts, dead drops, disciplined communications, role specialization, and a willingness to absorb casualties while bleeding the stronger force slowly. That's called winning by attrition, by the way. What's unfolding in Minneapolis right now isn't protest. It's low-level insurgency infrastructure built by people who've clearly studied the playbook. That would be our left-wingers, BLM, Antifa, and the communists. They know this. It's part of the insurrectionist, insurgent playbook, and also the communist bullshit that came out by Saul Alinsky. Signal Groups, that's Signal is in the app. Signal Groups has a 1,000 member cap per zone. Dedicated roles, mobile chasers, plate checkers, logging vehicle data into shared databases, 24/7 dispatch nodes, vectoring assets, salute style reporting. Salute is size, activity, location, unit time, and equipment, and on suspected federal vehicles. Daily chat rotations and time deletions to frustrate forensic recovery. Vetting processes for new joiners, but one got through and we now have their names. Mutual aid for sympathetic locals, right? Home-based coordination points, rapid escalation from observation to physical obstruction or worse, meaning violence. This isn't spontaneous outrage. It's command and control with redundancy, OPSEC hygiene, and task organization that would make a Special Forces team sergeant nod in recognition. Replace ICE agents with occupying coalition forces, and the structure maps almost one-to-one to early-stage urban cells we hunted in the mid-2000s in Afghanistan. Are you ready for the eye-opener now? Here we go. Like I told you, this was going to be a hard fucking day. Thank you, Bonnie Blue. The most sobering part, it's domestic, funded, trained, and directed by people who live in the same country they're trying to paralyze law enforcement in. I'm going to make a correction here. They're trying to paralyze federal law enforcement. They're using state National Guard. They're using city police. Don't tell me law enforcement is all on the right side of this. When your own citizens build and operate this level of parallel intelligence and rapid response network against federal officers, complete with doxing, vehicle pursuits, and harassment, that's already turned lethal. You're no longer dealing with a civil disobedience. You're facing a distributed resistance, insurrection, distributed resistance that's learned the lessons of successful insurgencies, both overseas and domestically. Their warm-up and trial period was the 2020 mostly peaceful protests. And since then, they've noted, learned, trained, and prepared. They stay below the kinetic threshold most of the time, force overreaction when possible, maintain popular support through narrative, which is being encouraged, promoted, and covered by the mainstream media, and never present a single center of gravity. In other words, come together, fight, disperse. There's so many different names for it. Basically, hit and run, hit and run, hit and run, hit and run. That way they don't get arrested, right? We either recognize what we're actually looking at, or we pretend it's still just activism while the structures harden and spread. You call it America, but from where I sit, remember, this is a special forces, and what he did as a special forces guy was exactly what's being done here. They recognize it, they see it, they do counterinsurgency, and when you want insurgents, you train them to do these things. That's fucking Green Berets right there. But from where I sit, this isn't January 2026 politics. It's phase one of something we spent decades trying to keep off our own soil. Thank you for tolerating me reading. Mikey G says warrant officers in the U.S. Army were mostly helicopter pilots. For helicopter pilots, if you don't want to put a commissioned officer behind the stick, and then you go with warrant officers. But warrant officers are in, everywhere. Everywhere. Thank you, Mikey. The police have been reduced to mall cops. The police have been reduced, and they are now protectors of an insurgency force that is operating. Leanne, you get the golden fucking comment for the day there by sending me that email. Yankee Watchdog says, I don't think they understand that if the military has to get... Oh, shit. Yankee Watchdog. I don't think they understand that if the military has to get involved, they bring all of their toys with them, and they should. This is an insurrection. You don't show up to a fucking gunfight with squirt guns. You don't show up with non-lethal weapons. You can have non-lethals, but you bring lethal weapons in the event the protest turns insurgent and violent. Right now, I remember, trust me on this, back when those bank robbers mimicked the movie Heat, where they wore bulletproof clothing, went in and robbed a bank, and they had fully automatic weapons. These guys mimicked the movie, came out of the bank, and just riddled the LAPD with bullets. They got shot, and they eventually lost, just like they did in the movie, but they eventually lost this gunfight, but they killed a lot of people, injured a lot of people, did a lot of damage, and the police were like, we were outgunned. Well, don't bring a 9 to a fucking gunfight with a 7.62 full auto AK-47, right? You don't do it. Good God. Thank you, Leanne. Boy, that was a good one. See, you guys have got your shit together out there. This isn't just Minnesota. It's not just the United States of America. It is the entire Western European cultured world that is under attack by people who say our culture is that of the Talmud. And the clown show continues. Tim Waltz, a.k.a. Tampon Timmy, a.k.a. Twinkle Toes Timmy, a.k.a. Geez, the one state senator who opposes and wanted to investigate the fraud being committed in the state, ends up murdered by a guy dressed as a policeman wearing a rubber mask who says that Tim Walz wanted him to do that job and was a former business and political associate of Tim Walz. And all of a sudden, it just disappears from the news. It was a fucking assassination. It was a hit, and it was called for by Tim Walz. That's the consensus among many people. Tim Walz compared the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement raids to Nazis arresting Anne Frank. Anne Frank was never arrested. Anne Frank supposedly hid in the floorboards and behind the wall in a fucking house so the Nazis couldn't get her. She wrote her diaries with a ballpoint pen, which wasn't invented for at least another dozen years. How the fuck did that happen? It was a fraud, and her own sister admitted it. The Anne Frank bullshit is a fucking lie, and Nazis never arrested her. And these aren't Nazis. These are law enforcement agents operating under constitutional authority under the direction of the President of the United States and the Department of Homeland Security to arrest and remove illegals who are here, who have violated the law and are committing heinous crimes, ranging from drugs to prostitution to kidnapping to child molestation, child rape, child murder. Fraud on a scale that is mind-fucking boggling in the billions of dollars. And he wants to compare law enforcement to Nazis arresting a fictional fucking character, or at least a fictionalized hero. It's as fucking absurd and disgusting a story as the fucking Holocaust and the lies that are being told about that. Yeah, people were thrown in concentration camps all through Europe, all through Germany, all through Poland. Yes, there were concentration camps, work camps, prison camps. 6 million. But there are sick fucking people out there. And I think I'm going to end the show on this. Let me first go over here and pull up Not a Bot Lynn. The give them an inch, they'll take a mile Lynn. She says we shouldn't get involved overseas. They aren't helping us. Yeah, that would be Europe. That would be Ukraine. That'd be England, the British. Right? I don't want to abandon the people, folks. But we keep going over and helping the governments, and they do nothing for their people. They do nothing for freedom. They do nothing to help us as the United States of America. They fuck us all over. You're right. Now, I'm going to end on this. In the United States of America, a neonatal nurse has pled no contest, meaning they got her dead to fucking rights. No contest to 9 charges of abusing infants. Neonatal, NICU, right? Neonatal intensive care unit, right? Brand new babies. Abusing them. Right? And she's gonna serve her sentence. The mainstream media headline on this is terrible. Ask yourself, though, I want you to ask yourself this about this lady, this young woman abusing newborns. Who the fuck? Ask yourself, what kind of twisted, evil, sick Satanist abuses newborn infants? Then ask yourself, what kind of sick, satanic, twisted, and evil nation kills women and children and infants indiscriminately and claim it's always terrorists they're killing, no matter how young? And then present a program after they've killed everyone, men, women, children, infants, every fucking buddy, blown up hospitals, leveled every fucking building, and then present to the world as part of their peace plan a real estate development. And you know I'm talking about Gaza. This isn't 2500 BC, where pseudo cavemen claiming religious superiority battle each other to occupy the land of Canaan because they think God say they're his chosen people. It's a crock of shit. What kind of sick people do that? Just go into an area and fucking slaughter everybody. It's called genocide. It's not a war. There aren't armies battling. Yes, there were terrorists, and I have no problem with dead terrorists. But this is where we're at. This is where we're at. I want everyone to just think about it. We have to let go of our preconceived ideas. about how righteous any nation or any state or any city is. If it's being run on policies that are evil, counterintuitive, and just plain old fucking stupid, this is the world of 2026. That's why I tell you guys, get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Be prepared. This is going to get shitty. I have no doubts. Unless Trump just backs off and says, Minnesota, do what you want. Arizona, do what you want. All these states, cheat however the fuck you want. As much as you want. Hell, don't just send your electoral college representatives here. Send twice as many as they need. We'll count their fucking votes. Invite in these Islamists. Invite in all these fucking people that hate our country. Invite in drug dealers and rapists and kidnappers and murderers and just let them run free. Is that what Trump's going to do? Is that what every state attorney general is going to do? Well, that's what they seem to be doing. Are you prepared for what's coming next? What are you prepared to do to protect yourself and the state in which you live, starting with your own property, your community, the city or unincorporated area, and then, of course, the state? It's coming, folks. Uh-oh. H. Lynn says, do you think they are secretly drugging 47? Doesn't he understand when he's out of office they're going after him again? I don't know what he understands at this point. I don't know what he believes and supports at this point. I don't know. What I do know is we are in big fucking trouble. And something needs to happen or it's going to get out of hand. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to get out of hand. Don't think it's a joke. Even if you're in a Republican state, I'm in a Republican state. Even if you think you're in a Republican area, I'm in a Republican area. I pack heat every fucking day. And I carry extra magazines. The reason is you don't know when SHTF or a Mad Max situation, however you want to think about it, is going to befall you. Remember, you have rights. You have a right to life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. You have a right to protection, everything. Red Arrow Tinker steps in and says, Wisconsin will go soon, meaning like Arizona. Our governor just announced that it's the illegal immigrant farm workers that are holding our state's economy up, and without them, it will crash. No. Legal immigrants assist in the farm communities. Legal immigrants, not the illegals. Red Arrow Tinker, you heard what I said about getting prepared. Chance favors the prepared mind. Remember and understand, we Americans have over half of all the arms in the whole world. We have billions of rounds of ammunition. We are trained as sportsmen. We are trained as law enforcement. We are trained as military. We are veterans, and we are patriots. There is no army on the planet that can stand up to us. None. Our military, yeah, they got planes and jets and nukes and this and that, sure. You can make that claim. How come our military couldn't defeat the Taliban in Afghanistan after 20 years? Because counterinsurgency works. Because small arms, hit and run, slash and burn works. But this is our country and we need to take it back or we're toast. Semper Fi.